Hey, what's up guys? This is Nathan at Bluestone Farms. We're gonna do another little quick video today. I believe in the last video, it's been a little while since I made one, but in the last video I made, we were cutting hay with our hay bind right here. And as we were cutting, the rear hydraulic cylinder was started to leak pretty bad, where it wasn't holding any pressure. It no longer wanted to raise up. So I took this whole entire cylinder off here and I ran it down to our local John Deere repair shop and they put a new seal kit in it. And anyways, after I got it back, I finished cutting our field. I raked up half of our field and I baled the other half, the bottom half. The bottom half of the field that we were working on when this broke down, I went ahead and raked it. I went ahead and baled it. I didn't really film any of it. It was kind of my first time doing it. I just went along with it. So anyways, I got the hydraulic cylinder back, put the hydraulic cylinder back on with the new seal kit in it. Went ahead and cut the remaining parts of the field. After I did that, that was back on Thursday. So here we are on Monday now. So it's sat for 4 days now, and it's been pretty warm. I wouldn't say it's been exactly hot, but it's been warm with no rain, and it's been constant sunshine. It's been about mid 70s. Today it's kind of upper 70s. Tomorrow's supposed to be another upper 70 day. I'm gonna go ahead and rake it, see how it's looking. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of turn everything over on it. Just kind of make sure everything's dry, nothing's too green still. So that's the plan today, and I'll take you over there and I'll show you the rake. But first, since we went ahead and baled everything, this is what we came out with right here. So just that back part of the field that I showed you guys cutting in the last video, just that little portion back there, we did end up getting 168 bales. There's about 164 here. It missed completely on one bale, and then it missed 3 other bales with a knot, and that was all early on. I think it went for over 120 straight without missing a knot, so I'm really happy about that. That's my first time ever using a baler. The baler that we got is a used baler, and it seems to be in pretty good condition, and it was working perfectly fine, so I'm happy with that. So we're gonna see if we can add another 300 or so. I'm thinking we'll have more than 325 bales coming off of the front half of this field. There's a lot. It was really thick. It was a bigger part of the field, so I think I'll set the over under at 325. We'll see what it comes out at. I'm happy with this. I finally got hay made. I don't have to buy hay this year. And another thing is I set this in here just to keep it out of the sun, get it out of the weather, out of the rain. If we get any snow this year, keep it out of the snow. I still need to put the belt on it. The belt over here, it's pretty cracked and beat up. The gear housing is still leaking pretty good. You can see that it's leaking there on the floor. It's leaking straight out of here. So that's gonna be the wintertime job, to get that fixed up, put a new belt on it, take the cover off the housing and check out the inside, see how the gears look, go about that, and then we'll see if we can put a gasket or somehow seal that up so it's no longer leaking oil all over the place. For the most part, that was cutting really good. I didn't have any issues. I'm still kind of learning on how to do it all. This is the field I was talking about that I went ahead and cut with the cutter. I didn't film cutting this. It's pretty much this whole entire front half of this field all the way down there to the corner, all the way through here on the back side of this hill. Again, I've already cut way back there. That's already been done. We're gonna see if we can turn over a lot of this hay. I don't have a tedder, so we're gonna go ahead and just rake it all up real quick and hopefully just kind of turn it over that way. Probably about 90% of it's probably ready to be baled. There's a couple spots back there where those trees are. I went down there earlier and kind of just felt it and flipped it over by hand some parts, and it was still a little green over there. Other than that, I think the rest of it's pretty much ready to be baled. See if the sun can dry it out for the rest of the day and possibly a little bit tomorrow before I go ahead and bale it. The rake I have a New Holland 256 roller bar, and I'm going to be pulling it with this 1920 Ford tractor. I have never used this tractor for a job yet. A little backstory on this tractor is that it belonged to my dad. I'm not sure when he bought it. It ended up sitting in the woods for about 12 or 13 years, and it got trees grew up around it, and it was looking pretty rough. Let's see, last winter or last fall, so about a year ago, I went ahead and pulled it out, took all the trees down around it, pulled it out. Obviously the battery was shot on it, threw a new battery into it, and sure enough, all the electrical stuff fired up on it. I was able to get the engine to crank over after doing a couple things to it. Once the engine cranked up, I realized the radiator was leaking coolant pretty bad, so I put a new radiator into it. The fuel hoses were really beat up on it. They were leaking, they were spraying, so I went ahead and put all new fuel lines and fuel hoses into it. See, looks like we're good on coolant here. Power steering fluid. We got power steering fluid. We're good there. Check the oil level. It's running fine. The tires are pretty rough shape on it. You can see that they're pretty dry rotted. All 4 of them are. The front ones are pretty bad. You can see all the dry rot in them. And I've never hooked anything up to the PTO shaft on it. The transmission is seized on it. I'm able to jam it into forward. Putting it into reverse is kind of a pain in the butt. What it really needs to really fix the transmission on it, I think it's going to have to take breaking the thing in half. I don't know if that's really a job that makes sense to do here. We have 2 other tractors. We have the 5520 John Deere, which will do a lot more than this one would. I don't know if it makes sense to really go through the job of breaking this in half. One, because like as I mentioned, I don't know if it makes sense to do the job. Two, I don't know if I have the correct knowledge and expertise to knock that job out. Three, that's a very time-consuming job, and I have a list of projects to do around here on top of that as it is. And if I'm able to go ahead and get it into forward without grinding gears, I'll take that. I've kind of designated this tractor for the time being. If we ever do use it for work, it's just going to be to pull this rake. When I raked the bales that I've already put away on the back side of the field, I did use that tractor. Yeah, obviously that tractor handled it fine, but sometimes just disconnecting and reconnecting different implements, and it can get quite tiring quite quick. Yeah, when I pulled this out again, I mentioned I changed went to fuel lines. I put all new filters in it, put a new air filter into it. It took a new fuel filter. The fuel filter was absolutely clogged on it. I remember I had to put a new head on here. Connection here was just falling right off of it, and it wasn't even holding. I had to replace this hose here. I think it runs okay enough to go ahead and give it a shot to try to rake with it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not quite sure how to check the oil level on this. I was able to get this cap off here, which is where you put new oil in, and the oil filter's down here. Now, I did the oil change on it when I pulled it out, and I haven't noticed any leaks, so it shouldn't be leaking anywhere, but there should be a dipstick somewhere, I would imagine. I'm just not seeing one. I'm sure someone that watches this video is probably screaming it's right there in front of me, but I'm not seeing it, so I don't know. But we also replaced this belt here, so it has a new belt, obviously, for the radiator fan. I had it running the other day and it was running fine, so I'm not too concerned with it being low. This rake I got, it has this tire on it, leaks air a little bit slowly. I gotta fix that. I'll do that after we rake today. Everything's greased on it. I just greased it last time I used it, which was last week. Baled that back part of the field. Our operator's manual says to grease everything about every 10 hours, and I think I didn't even use it for 2 hours last time I used it. So we'll go ahead and pull it around here to the shop real quick and then air up that tire, and we'll take it down there and start raking a little bit. Once you finally pop it into gear, it's fine. It's just trying to get it into gear. It's just a really hard shift. For the most part, it doesn't sound like gears are ever really grinding. It's just really stiff, and it just does not want to get in. It's just that the clutch is seized on it. Something's wrong inside the transmission on it. But let's go ahead and air up this tire real quick. This one should be okay. This one holds air pretty good. Yeah, that one's good. Oh, on the operator's manual, it does say to inflate it to about, I think it said about 20 on it. But we might go a tad bit higher just because it is leaking air. We're not even reading yet. That should do there. You can see it's leaking here. It's leaking there. I don't know if this will have a bead around the wheel. If it wants to start now. Now it's not going to start on me. I'll go ahead and try to put it in a forward, and I'll show you guys what it's doing here. Of course, that time it goes in pretty easy. Go figure. But this wire here, this will let this gearbox go because it is ground driven. So how this spins, this shaft down here will basically spin this gearbox, which in turns will then spin this, which is what will kick the hay out through here. wrapped up raking our hay. Can't tell if that spot there was, it didn't already have a tine on it. When I bought this, we bought it used, of course, and whoever had it before, I guess one of the, I don't know what you call it, but I guess one of the bars that holds of the tine broke at some point. So someone took it upon themselves to weld it back together, but that's where one of the tines was missing, was right next to that welded spot. So I don't think there was a tine there anyways. Got everything raked up out here. It looks pretty good. I'm not quite sure which way is the best way to rake it. I've heard people kind of go down, make a row, and then fold that row back over on top of like another pass. I pinch them. I found that that works better for my situation. The more I do this, the more I get used to it, the better I become with it. But I'm gonna let the evening sun still hit all this, and then tomorrow it's supposed to be nice and warm again, so we're gonna let the sun tomorrow kind of bake it a little bit more during the day. I'll come back through tomorrow afternoon sometime and I'm gonna bale it all up, and I'm super stoked about it because I have been wanting to make hay for a long time, and we finally made hay and it came out good. Well, that'll do it for this one little quick video, playing around with the Ford tractor, putting that to use for the first time. Thanks for sticking around. We'll catch you all at the next one.